Ever since Animal Crossing New Horizons released, I've put nearly 1,500 hours into this game, and I don't think I'll be stopping anytime soon. For quite a while, I've been working on making my Animal Crossing island a city-themed location. While I still have a long way to go, since a lot of people have commented asking me to show off my island, I decided to finally do a dedicated video showing at least what I have so far. Who knows, maybe by 3,000 hours in Animal Crossing, I'll be closer to finished here. But for now, let's take a look at my island. So in the beginning, my island had a very different form to it, a different theme. It was very generic, I guess, early on. I first tried to do something unique where I thought getting all cat villagers would be cool. I shaped my island into like the face of a cat, and that looked cool on the map for a minute, but I felt like I was missing out on some villagers I really wanted, so I ended up scrapping that idea altogether. And it wasn't until right around the time when everyone was starting to start their islands over, maybe right around before the 2.0 update came out for Animal Crossing New Horizons, I decided I wanted to make a really cool, busy city street, which then led me into feeling the need to expand that idea into an entire city island. Now, one thing that's really cool about Animal Crossing New Horizons is since this is a Nintendo game, there are a ton of Japanese items in the game, Japanese-inspired indoor and outdoor sets, so I obviously incorporated a lot of those pieces into my island, and it's made me have maybe a bigger appreciation for Japanese culture. It's a location that my wife and I really want to visit sometime in the near future. So I present you with this work in progress of the island Kikowani that has a city theme after like 1,400 and some change hours working on it. Now right here is the main entranceway of my island, and right away you can see this large building. One major aspect of my island is I have a bunch of fake buildings that I made using the items in the game and cliffs. Now, one thing I've always struggled with was the opening area of my island because my resident service isn't very far away from the exit of the airport section, and it's not centered, which can drive me nuts if I'm trying to make like a nice little pathway to connect everything together. And I found that by just putting a physical barrier between the entranceway and the resident services, it breaks up that symmetry a little bit, and it kind of resolved my issues with it not being centered. There was times where I had a river here instead, but I think I really like the building that I've put here. The upper part of the building is actually just these stonework kitchen sets or whatever they are, and you can just put them backwards and they make for great rooftops. Now, and the big thing about this island I want to point out is a lot of these textures are not like original textures made by myself, and since my work on this island goes all the way back from before I even started doing Animal Crossing content, I didn't keep track of like the sources or the artists on a lot of the textures that are used here, but I just use like the little designer app and I just search things up in there, and that's for the most part everything that is on this island, unless it's a custom design that I made myself. There's a couple of those that I did in like Photoshop and exported them in. Also, as far as general city ideas go, like building a building with cliffs, it's not an original idea. Other people have done it. Other people have done it better. And I've definitely have taken inspiration from a ton of other people who have played Animal Crossing, who have posted and shared their stuff online. I mean, ultimately, this was my own creation, but a lot of these ideas just came from me seeing something cool that someone else did, and I wanted to emulate that in my own style. So I just want to make that also clear that I'm not just like coming in here saying that all of these ideas are 100% unique and original. That doesn't change the fact I'm incredibly proud of all of the work that I've put into this island, and I still have a long way to go. So anyways, from this entrance area, if we go right, we can go right towards where my house is. Since we already had a ton of Japanese items outside, I thought my house would fit in better, and all the houses on the island that I can, if I flipped the outer design to more of a Japanese styled house. My wife, Sandy, her house is right above my house, and this is her original house from when Animal Crossing New Horizons first came out. She had never played Animal Crossing before, so she started out on this island, and then after a couple of weeks we ended up buying a second Switch and a second copy of Animal Crossing, and that's where her entire island comes from. And she has like 100 more hours in this game than me, so it's very impressive how much time we've put into Animal Crossing so far. Also, some of these trees that you're seeing over on this side of the island were literally added in today, and I'm still unsure if I like the trees in the very urban city section or if I should have left the trees out, so you can let me know what you think of them. Up here we have this 7-Eleven themed building, which is kind of a funny idea. I just thought putting a 7-Eleven here would be fun, and there was already some good designs of the 7-Eleven logo. I added in this tiny little alleyway too, just so you could cross over, but also to kind of mix in those feelings of like a tight city where you can go in and out of alleyways, even from a little alleyway into a smaller alleyway. I decided to name this Sandy's Cheesecake Factory after my wife because I thought it'd be cool. So this was a custom design that I ended up making in Photoshop and then exporting it into my game. And then over here, this is that main street area I mentioned earlier that started everything off. Like, I just wanted to make a little street that felt like it was super city-like. And it was this. It's changed a couple of times, but for the most part, this is where it initially started, and everything's been kind of built from this as the main epicenter of everything else. Nearby that, I also have Tom Nook's store, which some people, you know, they want to put their store near the front of their island, so when they have friends come over, they can just quickly run into the store and do whatever they want to do. I, on the other hand, I'm like, no, you're going to have to come onto my island, deal with the low frame rate and the pop in and out items or whatever, and run through my island and see what I've worked on if you're going to access my store, and I don't regret that. There's also this little like sushi stand that I have set up here, but I'm going to need to get some more chairs. Okay, this is something I've seen other people do, and I loved the idea, so I implemented it on my own island. But over here, I made a forced perspective skyline, which essentially uses different cliffs and different items to kind of clutter this area with a distance from where you're standing, and it kind of makes it look like in the distance you can see a much larger city, and I just liked that concept better than having a north beach necessarily covering that whole area with all the rocks and stuff. And since at the time I wasn't using all that much space on my island, like I had a huge section of the island just dedicated to just dead space because I wanted everything close together because I was trying to build it out to the city, it worked out really well, and I still think I like this section. Now over here, I more recently added this part, which is supposed to be like a boating yacht dock area. Still not too sure how I feel about it. I'm not 100% sold on this idea of being here as another forced perspective like area in the background that you're not typically supposed to access. We'll go look over in that area later so you can see it closer up. But yeah, I'm not sure. I don't intend for this to be an accessible spot, but I'm just not sure if I like it or not. Also, as we look at some of these other buildings that I've constructed, I'm still not 100% sure I'm sold on how to do convincing rooftops just yet. Some of them I feel like they look better than others, and some of them I don't know. I feel like there's just a lot going on. But for the most part, I don't feel like anything's been too overly bad, but there's some spots that maybe I could do better. I really wanted to have some sort of public transportation, like a bus stop or a train station, and I thought that I would need a train if I was going to do a train station, so I tried a ton of different items, but I ended up settling on doing these display cases to make the train, and I feel like it mostly works. I wish it was a little bit taller, but for the idea it's trying to present, I feel like it can kind of pass here. From here, there's this little coastal walk we can go down to go back to where our houses are, and then we can cut across and check out the other 2/3 of the island. Okay, then right here, I have a dump. I don't know, I just thought it'd be funny to put something like this here where we just throw actual garbage. Then we have this bigger, maybe electronics store. I haven't really decided what type of store it is specifically, but it has a nice little truck right in front of it. Then there's this little cluster of more buildings and stalls just kind of lining up this area, and I feel like it kind of looks good. I put this little bus stop like bench in the middle here to kind of tie it all together. There's some mysterious stairs here that go somewhere. We don't know where. Maybe it's a secret club. You can use your imagination on that. We have a basketball court up here, and if you come down here, you can see our gardening store. You might have noticed this already, but I definitely used a lot of bikes to fill some of the blank space on the island to try to make it feel more filled in a city form, so it's not just this big empty space with streets and whatnot. And yeah, getting all of these bikes was definitely not an easy task. It took forever to order all of them at 5 a day. This over here is just a newer building I just recently made, and it still needs some work still. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'll keep it. Then as we go up here, we can see some more of our villager houses. Also, you can see this scaffolding, and right behind the scaffolding, I actually hid away my workbench. So if I ever need to craft anything or customize something, I can access it from outside, and it doesn't like make it too obvious, and it kind of fits into the style of this part of the island. This is kind of supposed to be a street that is a little more run down maybe. It's got some graffiti on the walls, some fences keeping people out. Also, I thought it'd be kind of funny to have a house that was like really run down, like one of those houses you want to avoid, but it turns out that this house is just Winnie's house, a peppy villager, so it doesn't really fit, but the idea was there. The idea was cool. It's just, you know, it's just the way that it's gonna be, I guess. Okay, then over by that boardwalk we walked on earlier, underneath it or below it, down here, there's a little more of a scandalous neighborhood, or a type of neighborhood you maybe don't want to be in. It's a little more of a seedy part of town. Also, you can see the train tracks run back here, and then they run into this cave that is supposed to kind of allude to the idea that the train tracks would run into a cave, maybe go underground, and journey off somewhere else. I didn't want to, like, try to physically figure out how to run train tracks around an island and make it make sense, because it's just a small island. So I like the idea of it going underground, and then, I don't know, it could go to some other island or something. You can use your imagination, and it still at least makes more sense than me having a train track that literally just only lasts like 10 feet, and then, I don't know, what's the point of having a train that does that? Okay, up here, I wasn't too sure what I was building. I thought it'd be really cool to have a dam that had a waterfall and like some cool walls on it, and then like some stairs that would let you down onto the beach where Red usually comes. I don't think I like this too much, but it's okay. It still works in the general industrial style that I've been going for. I know I keep pointing out little nuanced things I'm not a fan of, but I do like the way that this all comes together at the very least. Next door, I have this drive-in movie theater slash stage. I do like the way that this one looks. I struggled with a couple of different ideas on how I wanted this to look, and I saw some cool ideas online that I kind of just emulated a little bit, but added my own style, making it more city focused. I did the display cases again with the popcorn and the tickets, which I liked a lot, and these vending machines. You might have noticed I have a few vending machines on this island. I just think it helps kind of the overall vibe that we're going for here. Then this house here is my third account, which I called The Steak, because I thought it'd be funny if it was like The Steak's house, and then it was gonna be a restaurant, and it's gonna be like a steakhouse. I never got too far with actually decorating the inside part of the house, so we didn't get that much progress, but it's still here. It's still taking up some space on our island, but I don't mind it being there. Okay, so this whole area up until like a month or two ago was just a complete mess. It was a disaster zone, and it was wild. I've really cleaned it up in the last few months, turning it into this really, really large, massive park or garden, and I'm actually really proud of it. Not only did it take a lot of planning to just design it, but also I've included every single flower multiple times, and they're all organized, color-coded, and also I have every vegetable here as well. So, I don't know, I think that this turned out surprisingly well. Of course, it's not as much of a city themed, but I tried to incorporate parts of the city into this garden theme so that it kind of fits together. Over here, we have this tiny little coffee stand, which I just felt like it would break up the monotony of just having all these flowers. And then down here, we have some more villager houses, which I wanted to kind of mix the idea of a city with like some rural parts of towns, so it doesn't feel as city, but it feels like it's still close to the city. That's why it's separated by a river and there's like a bridge you have to cross. And I think for the most part it works. I'm still debating how I want to do the roads here, but I can always change things out later on. Okay, now let's go to my beaches. Now for the longest time, this used to just be the place where I stored all my extra flowers, and I literally only cleaned it up earlier on today. So it was a mess up until today, and I finally was like, all right, we're making a video, I better scoop those up and get rid of them and sell them or whatever. So I finally did that and cleaned it up a bit, but a lot of these decorations actually are remaining from way back in the earliest days when Animal Crossing New Horizons first came out, because typically I did a ton of terraforming, I flattened my island, I did so much, I've changed my island so many times, but you can't terraform on beaches, so there was no point of me ever going and really clearing out the beaches. So a lot of this stuff dates all the way back to the beginning. Like this stuff was nearby where Sandy's original house was, so of course I don't want to change that, it's kind of cool. Up here's where my house originally was, so I left a lot of that. And way up here, there's a wheelchair that I put by the cliff here during the first week of the game coming out, and I thought it was funny, and it's been there ever since. It's survived the test of time, and yeah, I don't know, I just like that. Okay, then like we said earlier in the video, here is where this yacht area is. I was kind of doing this elevated land faking water with textures because I didn't like the way the boats looked like on land mounted up with water surrounding them like as platforms. So I thought maybe we could make it look all level, and that would do. And I tried adding this wheatgrass to make it blend and look more swampy. But I don't know, I'm still not 100% loving it just yet. I feel like it's missing something, so if you guys have any advice or feedback on how to make this look better, that'd be really awesome too. And that's it. That's Kikowani as of 2023. Maybe we'll come back in a year or so and take a look and see how it's doing now, or maybe next time we want to do one of these videos, we'll take a look at my wife's island and see what she's been up to for her 1,500 hours on Animal Crossing. But I'd love to know any feedback, any advice on how to make things better. That'd be really cool. If you enjoyed this video, you want to check out our other Animal Crossing videos, we have literally an entire channel dedicated to just Animal Crossing. So make sure you guys check some of our videos out and maybe subscribe if you like more. Otherwise, that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you all next time with a brand new video.